One of the closest partnerships India has with any nation is the relationship with Germany. It's a strategic relationship of great consequence. It straddles several fields. It's a historic relationship, but one which we collectively find ourselves in a world which is in a spot of bother. We've got the German ambassador with us, Dr. Philipp Ackermann. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. I can't but begin by asking you about the shared concern about the potential rise in crude oil prices, the availability of gas. Do you believe there's a diplomatic off-ramp to the crisis in West Asia?
There must be at some stage. I think without a diplomatic solution, we will end up in a very difficult situation. So I think we need to make all our efforts to talk to the relevant parties in order to find a solution. It's difficult. It's not easy, and we see that things develop in a not in a de-escalatory way. Let's put it that way. But I think we are, both India and Europe and Germany, are of the opinion that this war should end rather sooner than later.
Yeah, Ambassador, the Strait of Hormos is obviously a key aspect of all of this. Where does Germany stand as far as the essential need to keep this open? How critical is that, and what is Germany's position?
So I think it's hugely critical, not because we get oil through the Strait of Hormuz. That's not the case. Asia does, India does, Southeast Asia does, China does. But because of this bottleneck makes the oil price generally just rising. And what we experience in Germany right now, in a time where our economy started to grow again and it was in a certain upswing, we had now this very dimming effect of a rising oil price that every German, when they go to the fuel station, they experience. So I think Strait of Hormuz is of utmost importance for the global oil price, and therefore we have to do the utmost to open it again. Now, our government has said very clearly, together with other European governments, we stand ready if conditions are met. And we stand ready to do something if conditions are met. Now, what conditions mean is very clear. Stop, warfare in the region. We don't see us coming with warships and entering the war through, securing the Strait of Hormuz. But what we say is we do our utmost once the warfare has stopped.
Yeah, and let's hope that happens soon. Let's talk a little bit about the free trade agreement. I mean, it's such an important part of India's equation with Europe and certainly Germany over there. We're facing a crisis right now, but we want the true potential of the FTA to be realized. How soon do we see that, assuming that things become better really soon?
So first of all, I have to say, in a world full of bad news, that's a good news.
Yes.
And I think it's a fantastic achievement. It's a tailor-made FTA that meets both India's concern and Europe's concerns.
Yeah.
So I think we have a very, very document ahead of us. Now, what we see is the so-called legal scrubbing. So it's going through the legal procedure. It will have to be translated in all 24 European languages. And once that is done, it can be signed. And that is hopefully, and I'm very optimistic, by the end of this year sometime. Yeah. So once this is signed, it goes through Parliament. But even Parliament, European Parliament, isn't that difficult, I would say, with all due caution, because some neuralgic items have been carved out, like agriculture to a large extent. And that makes it easier to pass through Parliament. So I'm really, on this FTA, I'm pretty optimistic that we'll see the light of the day very quickly.
Ambassador, medium and small scale industries stand to benefit a great deal from the FTA. How does that work in the broader sort of definition of where this might go?
So I think I will tell you one example. When the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce offered a webinar on the consequences of the FTA for the German business, more than 1,000 German companies subscribe to this. So it's enormous. Yeah? The interest is there. And when I say 1,000 companies, it's mostly small and medium-sized enterprises, because the big ones are here already. So what do people expect? An environment that is extremely favorable for investment here in India and for trade and back and forth. And I think that, and that's what India also wants and expects, is you can expect much more investment from Europe here in India, and also on a smaller scale. So not only Siemens or Airbus, but also the hidden champions, as we call them, the small enterprises, the small companies in Germany that come with 2-3 products where they are world leaders and feel that India might be a very, very interesting place to invest.
Ambassador, you just mentioned Airbus. I cover civil aviation quite closely. That future, in terms of the relationship between Airbus and India, is huge. The potential for jobs in India is huge. It builds up India's ecosystem and clearly works with one of our biggest industrial partners, which is Airbus. What is the future of that?
So, Airbus, we like Airbus a lot. It's a truly European company. It's French, German, Spanish, Dutch, you name it. It's really the whole of Europe coming together. One of the leading, if not the leading, plane constructors and builders in the world. We have had a fantastic partnership over the last years with India, and I think this partnership is only to grow. And we'll see investment by Airbus also, I think, in the future, but we see also more of a connection with not only airplanes with Indigo and Air India, but also with helicopters, with maybe also defense, Airbus defense, who knows. So I think there is a ample room for improvement or even growing of the relation we have with Airbus in India.
You mentioned defense, and of course the Future Air Combat System, or FCAS as it's known. It's a partnership between France and Germany. But there is a sense in India that we would like to be a partner, if not of the FCAS, then possibly of the one that the United Kingdom is looking at. Does Germany see India as a potential partner in FCAS?
So I think we have to be very honest here, and let me be blunt. Let's get our FCAS thing sorted out in Europe first, and then we'll see. But I think what I can say on a general level is India has become more and more a trusted defense partner for Europe. You see that in France for decades. You see it in Germany in the last couple of years. So I think that developing something together with India is absolutely on the agenda. I'm not privileged to say whether FCAS is the right way, but I think India is such a trusted defense partner by now that I think we'll see common projects in the not so far future.
So export restrictions used to be a factor in the past. They still are. It's part of Germany's policy. Do you believe that there is a process towards simplification?
So you might know that we have introduced about 2 years ago an acceleration process, a speed process for approvals. And I remember the foreign minister, external affairs minister, coming to Germany last September, and he said to the then chancellor, that was not last September, the year before, he said to the then chancellor, normally I come with a list of requests for approval. We had 50 to 60 wait in the waiting line. Now the list is zero. So basically there are every now and then little questions that are not solved, but generally speaking, in 2 to 3 months you get your approval, because we have this special track for India introduced in our system. So I think we have come a long way when it comes to these approvals.
Yeah. There's been a phone call between Dr. Jaishankar and the German foreign minister as well. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you will be not surprised that the main issue was West Asia, and I think they agreed that the Strait of Hormuz is such an important question in this whole setup that they both thought on how to try to figure out what to do with the Strait of Hormuz. They speak on a regular basis. They have a very, very trusted and good relationship. When they talk now, every couple of days, it's all about West Asia.
Yeah. Submarine cooperation. India has operated HTW submarines for many decades. They've proven to be extremely successful. A few were built over here, but it now appears that India and Germany are on the verge of perhaps the biggest conventional submarine manufacturing contract, as it were, when it actually happens. When will it happen?
So I think we are far into the process. Until things are signed, you have to be careful. But I would be hugely optimistic that in the weeks to come, we'll see a signature.
Weeks, so not
weeks.
Months. You're actually looking at weeks. You're confident about that.
Yeah.
And how
I'd say that 6 to 8 weeks.
And how is that something which works well for India? Atmanirbharta, as we call it, made in India.
It's a joint venture between what used to be HTW and is now TKMS and MDL, Mazagaon shipyard in Mumbai. And not only that, large parts will be produced here in India by this joint venture. I understand also that TKMS is trying to set up shop here on their own in India. So I think you can be expecting a large part of these submarines to be produced here in India. And that's, I think, the whole, condition under which the deal went through, is that a big part of these submarines will be built here. And that includes also, to a certain extent, technology exchange also. So I'm very optimistic that in the weeks to come, we'll come to a very, very good conclusion.
Ambassador, two more questions. Firstly, education. The opportunities for Indian students in your country, there are quite a few. I mean, and I don't think enough is spoken about it. So for those watching, and we're headed to the term beginning, what are the opportunities that Germany gives young Indian minds, young Indian students?
So we have 60,000 Indian students in Germany, and we are incredibly proud of them. Universities like taking on Indian students as their students, because Indian students have proven to be hardworking, ambitious, committed to their cause. And we have seen, Indian graduates joining the German labor market easily. So you have, once you graduate, you have 18 months to find a job. That's a very generous rule. And those who want to stay, which is basically 50 to 70% according to the year, they can use this time to find a job. And all engineering, IT questions, there is no problem to find a job. When it comes to nursing and caregiving, medical things, no problem to find a job. So basically, I think it's a success story. I have to say, though, and this is something which is very close to my heart, Indian students go through agencies when they go to Europe. And not all agencies are of the same quality, let's say.
Yes.
And I think what I would tell every Indian, if you go through such an agency, start by not trusting your agent and look at what he has to offer. If you have only one university in their portfolio, this is not a good agent. And we unfortunately see that some universities or non-German universities in Germany get a lot of Indian students, and they are kind of, convinced to go there, and it's not a good deal. So state universities in Germany are good because they're for free, and they are good quality, they're top quality. So think twice before going to a private university that asks a lot of money and at the end will not satisfy your academic needs. So this is something which we find a bit difficult to tell Indians. Don't go for every offer you have on the table, just choose wisely between the offers. But, having said that, the overall majority of these 60,000 are fabulous students. We are very happy to have them.
And a final question, how does the diaspora, enrich Germany?
So diaspora does surprisingly well, I would say. We have more than 3 lakh Indians in Germany now. It's not a huge diaspora, but it's a considerable one, and it is growing. And, I keep telling people that the most surprising thing is that the average salary of an Indian living in Germany is up to 20% higher than the average German salary. So it's a hugely successful diaspora. Now, that doesn't surprise me, because you see diasporas of Indian roots or Indian descent all over the place, and you see, how successful they are. But I think for us, this, Indian skilled labor, whether it's academia or even nursing or caregiving, has turned out to be very positive. And therefore, I think Indians are a very valuable addition to our labor market.
Ambassador Ackermann, we've gone through the entire strategic relationship between India and Germany in about 15 minutes or so, but it's such an important relationship and one for the future. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to NDTV.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.